Hi, Kiko.
Thank you for taking the time.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Hey, well, thanks for taking the time. I really appreciate it. I know you're going to be in Houston soon. And I saw that does your son still work in Houston as a,
Now he is actually doing mornings in Detroit.
oh, nice. Okay. Have you ever spent a lot of time in Texas at all?
You know what? We do so many cons in Texas. That's my favorite state to do cons in.
Oh, yeah? Why is that?
Oh yeah, it's just the people. It's just I don't know. It's funny. People ask me all the time where the hot spots are for Scooby Doo. Of course, Scooby Doo is known worldwide, but there's something about Texas. I can't tell you a con that we have done in Texas that we have not done amazing or had a wonderful experience. Um, People ask me what the best state is. Is Texas? What's the least state? That it's probably Florida for some reason. I don't know why, but if you said pick one state that you can, do every con in the whole state, I'd have to pick Texas. So,
Maybe there's more true crime fans in Texas and they
well,
connect it.
I don't know if there is. My wife will be over there because that's all she watches, man. I come home at night. I'm like, can we watch something else, like maybe Chips or Dukes of Hazard or something? It's always Julie Simmons murdered. 48 hours to find out her killer.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, Scooby-Doo is kind of like true crime. They're following a criminal and
It is. They're following the whole lead. Here, and you know what's funny? You say that because usually the first suspect that you see them interviewing normally in the interrogation room is normally who it turns out to be.
right, exactly.
It's crazy.
That, that's why I've never been a fan. I just saw the new Scream movie, Scream 7. They're up to 7 now. And I've never really been a fan of that franchise just because I always thought it just stole from Scooby-Doo.
Yeah,
They
it pretty much is. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm curious to see how they filtered in Matthew Lillard into this thing. Am I going to be pointed, or am I going to like this?
Oh, I mean, if you think about Scooby-Doo and the reveals, that's like a big thing with the Scream franchises, the reveal at the end, right?
Yeah.
And this is by far the worst reveal of all 7 of them. It's
Really?
yes, easily.
Oh my gosh, I was really looking forward to that. Well, I'm gonna have to go see now, but
Yeah. See it
uh,
still.
yeah, I mean, this is actually though. It's so funny you say that because of all the screams, this is the one that's got the most hype. You know?
That could be true, yeah, because Nev Campbell comes back, of course, and then yeah, the original director's back. So yeah, I mean, I could see that
Yeah.
definitely.
Let me
But
see here.
yeah, I mean, normally with the reveals, there's like a smart, there's something clever that ties everything back together. And with this one,
Right.
it's just kind of like this one, it happens, and you kind of like, really, that's who it is? Like, why? Like, doesn't really
Yeah.
make any sense. Anyway, so hey, before you ever did Scooby-Doo, the voice of Scooby-Doo, were you the kind of kid that was constantly doing impressions, or did that talent
All the
sneak up on
time.
you later? Okay.
All the time, man. I I used to love the attention so much, as a kid, um, and I was always sucking at school. So the teacher actually got really smart, and she says, "I'll tell you what." She says, "If you'll study for your spelling test and like different, it all depend on different classes, but the ones that I struggled in the most." The teachers got together and came up with this great. I mean, I look back on it now and I thought, wow, how brilliant this was for a kid like me. But they would always say, okay, so if you make at least an 80 on your spelling test, we'll give you 5 minutes at the end of the class to get up and do all of your impressions, your Elvis Presley songs, and all that stuff. And I was like, wait, what? You gonna give me the stage for 5 minutes? Oh, well, I'm in there at night going over, there, Their, way, W-A. I'm like studying this stuff and all that stuff. And it was so funny because at first when they told me that, I thought, no problem, because I'll just write the answers on top of my hat or on my shoe or whatever. Well, they caught me the first deal out. And so I felt like I was in a strip search. I take my shoes off, my hat off, all
Yeah.
this stuff. And then they would sit me down to where I couldn't cheat, you know. But that's how I did it, man. I just really I've been doing it all my life. And for Scooby and them, I would watch it on Saturday mornings, and then it was always time for bed in the evening. I didn't want to go to bed, so I would relive the day's episodes of Scooby Doo in my head, and I would actually physically act them out. So, like I tell you, Scoob, like that creeper, he sure is awful scary. Yeah, yeah, boy. And I would just sound them out instead of just thinking them out.
What's the most surprising thing about, professional voice acting that people outside of the industry would never guess?
Well, a lot of people, it's so funny because people go, man, how long did it take you to do that movie? Couple of months? I'm like, wait, what? They're like, yeah, to voice that movie. I'm like, yeah, it took us 2 days. It's so funny because whenever I went out to LA the first time to voice Scooby Doo on Zombie Island, I'm like, God, they only got me out here a total of 3 days. I mean, how do you voice a movie in 3 days, dude? That's all down to like the first half, the first day we got in there. You spend, they run through it, so it's pretty quick. But you spend really the whole first half of the day from like 7 in the morning till about 1 o'clock. You spend that going over the script, and you're all sitting at a table read going down it. And what was really ironic is I'm in Cahuenga Boulevard, the original Hanna-Barbera studios for Zombie Island, and I'm sitting at the big round table that made famous, through the years with Bill Hanna and Joe Barbera, and I'm sitting at the Scooby Doo name. I just had to pinch myself, and I'm looking across the table, and I got Adrian Barbeau, Mark Hamill, all these great Scooby Doo voice actors, Frank Welker, Billy West, everybody's there. Just like, wow. And so we would go through it, and then we do lunch, and then we come back and we start in the studio, going from we just go from the start to the finish. And so we'd get about half of the first script, maybe a little less than half of the first script the first day. And then we're there bright and early the next day, and we go through the rest of the script
Mm,
and knock it out. And so, that's a misconception because people think, golly, I bet that takes a long time, and it really doesn't. When you
okay,
get all
okay.
these professionals in there going at it, but that's one of them. And I mean, I don't know. I don't know if there's really anything else that comes to mind off the top of a misconception of
Yeah.
voiceover talent. But one of them that we make a lot of money. That doesn't happen.
Okay. So what
Yeah.
about what's your take on when somebody, because you brought up a bunch of voice actors have done this the same character before. So what's your take when they bring in somebody where you thought, well, the person that originally did it is still around and is still doing it, but they bring in somebody else to do it. And I'm thinking of something like, the 2010 Yogi Bear movie when they brought Justin Timberlake in to
Yeah,
do
I
Yogi Bear.
actually I actually auditioned for that, and my agent called me and said she really thought I was going to get it.
Hmm.
Um, and they liked me for both of them, for Yogi Bear and Boo Boo, both of them. And so for about, I don't know, 12 hours, I was riding high, man. I thought, well, I'm going to at least get one of them. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So, and so I mean, I'm running, I'm prancing around the house, going, "Yay! I'm like the greatest ever been, hey, right, Yogi?" And I'm doing all these crazy voices, and okay, Yogi. But the next day, she called me and she goes, "So, yeah, you're not in." I'm like, "Well, who do they get?" She goes, "Well, they got Dan Aykroyd and Justin Timberlake," and I'm like, "Justin Timberlake for Boo Boo? Are you kidding me?" You know, but that's Hollywood. I make fun of this every once in a while. Hollywood seems to think that names sell product. I've been in sales all my life. I've been in radio all my life, and I totally disagree with that. Because here's the deal: the fans that come for Scooby Doo, they come for a certain sound. If
Hmm.
that sound is not there, they're going to pan that movie over and over and over again. They don't care if Jack Nicholson is doing Shaggy. Can you imagine that? It's like, and special guest star featuring Jack Nicholson as Shaggy. Hey, Scoob, where are you, man? I mean, nobody cares. The kids are going to go, that's not Shaggy.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. I one time I was in a store, and it was in a Hallmark. I was in a Hallmark store, and I actually went in to buy a new talking Hallmark card that I thought I was on. And I'd been on all the others, so I went in to buy this new deal. And this kid was back there. He actually had one in his hand, and he's squeezing the deal, and it's doing the Scooby voice. And this kid goes, "Mom, that's not Scooby Doo's voice." And she goes, "No, it doesn't sound like it." And I grabbed it and I said, "No, it should have sounded like this. Happy holidays, Scooby Dooby Doo." And she goes, "Well, that sounds like it." I said, "Yeah, somebody got conned into them paying $500, and that's what you get. You get a Timu Scooby Doo." So,
Yeah, when did
but
that start? When did that start happening? Because I mean, when I remember when I was growing up, I mean, I didn't know who was voicing, the Little
yeah,
Mermaid, or I mean, the earliest I can remember, at least from the top of my head, is like Robin Williams as the genie, right?
right, yeah. And then they brought in another guy that did a Robin Williams sound alike for the genie.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, it's really weird. Like Scooby Doo a few years ago, right in the pandemic, they had the movie Scoob,
Hmm. Right.
and they went and casted everybody but Frank Welker. Frank did the Scooby in it. Um, thank God. But everybody else,
Zac
Zach
Efron, Will
Efron, who
Ferrell,
I
too. Yeah.
I I just did the movie with him, The Iron Claw, and we were talking about it. And even he told me, he goes, I was like, why do you need me to do Fred? You got Frank Welker. I mean, why would you? He's Freddy.
Yeah.
So I don't understand that. I don't know who thinks that there's going to be like more people that are going to watch it or not. They're watching it for the characters. It never made sense to me when you have the original voices still around, why you would mess with it's like Coca-Cola. Hey, we've got the number one Coca-Cola brand soft drink in the world. Let's change it. I
Yeah.
mean, who's calling these shots?
Well, it definitely increases the price of the production, that's for sure.
Right. That's for sure.
So, hey, just a couple more questions, but how
Yep.
much acting goes into some of the things that you do? Like when I think of Scooby doing his oh moments or having those moments, do they ever change? Do you ever put anything behind them when he's sad or when he's scared, more scared than usual, or
Here's
anything
the
like that?
deal. It's hard. That's a hard question for me to answer because I'm so used to turning on and turning off those characters that I don't look at it as acting. I just become the character, you know? So, I mean, granted, when you're reading a script, you're like, okay, so Scooby's really sad because the gang's breaking up, and
Yeah,
oh, do I win? But
yeah,
there's never. I just don't look at it as acting. I mean, I know that some people would disagree and say that, but I've lived these characters for so long that I just feel like I'm doing them 24/7 anyway.
right, right.
It's actually I probably need therapy.
Would you do the therapy as one of your characters?
No, but I would do therapy for a Scooby snack. No. Yeah,
So you
therapy,
voice,
yeah.
yeah.
Therapy would be like uh, hi, my name's Shaggy Rogers and I'm an obsessive eater. Yeah, what he said. you know.
And then you would get billed for that probably a very, very,
Exactly, yeah, yeah. Who do we pay on the way out? He paid the
yeah.
creeper.
So out of all the voices that you've done over the years, are there any that you personally think deserve more love than they got maybe originally?
Yes. In my opinion, and this is me speaking, I think Scrappy Doo is as big or bigger than Scooby Doo.
Mm,
And a lot of people give Scrappy. I've voiced Scrappy, for years too, and I voiced him in the movie and
right.
the talking toys for him and Cartoon Network promos and stuff like that. I just, you know, he saved the franchise. See, a lot of people. What's funny is a lot of people that tell you they hate Scrappy. He ruined the show, and I'm like, really? He actually saved the show. What are you talking
Nope.
about? So, see, they don't even know. So, in 1979, Bill Hanna and Joe Barbera were marched into a meeting with ABC at the time,
Right.
and they were carrying Scooby Doo, Where Are You? And they told Bill Hanna and Joe Barbera, they said, look, we're going to cancel Scooby Doo. And they're like, wait, what? That's our signature, show. And they said, yeah, the ratings are plummeting, and it's not where it used to be. It's had its 10-year run. I think it's time to let it go. Well, I can see why, Bill Hanna and Joe Barbera were ticked off. They're like, no. And at that time, ABC and CBS, they were all probably combined playing 20 Hanna-Barbera cartoons, on Saturday mornings. So Bill Hanna said, man, you got to give us one more season to try to get this up. So out of courtesy and love, they did. And they went into the drawing board, brought Iwo Takamoto in, all these writers, everybody came in, and they came up with adding in Scrappy Doo. And when
Hmm.
Scrappy Doo was added into the mix, um, the ratings went through the roof. And because of that, it never went off the air. It's always been on. And so Scrappy Doo saved the franchise. It's fact. And I thought it was always great. I want to pitch when I go into schools and stuff and I teach about bullying. I always use Scrappy Doo as I said, be a Scrappy Doo, because he never took anything off anybody. So, let me get him, Uncle Scuba Rock him. I'll sock him. I'll give him a big dose of puppy power. And so I teach kids. I said, if Scrappy Doo can stand up for himself, so can you. And so I think they really missed the boat on Scrappy Doo. Scrappy Doo could have been huge, and
Mm.
really is iconic. But I think he could have gone on, done his own deal, and it could have been really, really big. And I'll tell you another thing that I think could have been as big as Hannah Montana is if Warner Brothers had put out a real live version. They could have actually used the girls that did it, of the Hex Girls that were in Witches Ghost and a few other times. Those songs are iconic. That's probably one of the biggest merchandise and stuff I sell at my booths. People love the Hex Girls. I'm a Hex Girl and I'm gonna put a spell on you. And
Okay.
I mean, Jane Whelan of the Go-Go's, was one of the Hex Girls, and Jennifer Hale, she was a Hex Girl. They all could have played their parts perfect. And gone out and done a tour. I think it would have been as big as Hannah Montana. You would have had selling out, big amphitheaters. It'd been huge. So I hate to see what I know for a fact, because I listen to these fans one on one after another, that they would have packed, to see these people. But
You brought up a good point. If they released a Scrappy Doo reboot, they would probably call it Baby Scooby Doo, right? Like I think of Baby Yoda and like Baby Groot. All those got popular just by putting baby in front of.
well, but you know what? I think that would be, why would you put baby in front? That, I mean, you're right. They probably would, but it'd be like, why? It's not Baby Do. It's Scrappy Do. He's not. He's his own name. Scrappy is his name. It's not Scooby.
Right.
He has a last name of Do. But yeah, but you're right. You would find somebody that would do that, and people would be going, "Why? Why would you do that?" I mean, it's crazy.
Well, I'll let you go with this, but Pop Culture Con will happen on March 14th to 15th in
Yeah,
Houston
we're
at
looking forward to that.
City
That's going
Place
to be.
Marina.
Go ahead.
Why should that be a travel destination? It's happening during spring break. Why should families come out to that?
Well, here's the deal. You got all these cosplayers, you got all these stars going to be there. The vendors, it's like Christmas morning to me when I see all these vendors, because I collect Pop Funkos and
Oh, nice.
figurines. But man, I tell you, Comic Cons are huge all over the country. People love them. It's a time. It's really where you can bring your inner geek out and nobody questions you. Yeah, I call it a you know a 2-day Halloween party, and nobody cares. I mean, literally. And what you look like. I love it that it lets kids that are autistic, or that maybe that in real life, throughout the rest of the week or the rest of the year, people would point fingers or go, he's weird or whatever. But you get these kids to come in and everybody's weird in these things. So everybody fits in. It's going to happen in Spring, Texas, right there, the Houston City Place Marriott. It's going to be big. I'm going to be there. We're going to have a huge Scooby Doo booth set up. Pop Culture Con, folks. PopCultureCon.com. Get your tickets. Check it out. It's going to be big. We're going to do a little show. I'll do with all the Hanna-Barbera shows and stuff that I've done through the years. And I think people are going to walk away with a huge smile on their face. It's going to be big.
Very cool. Hey, Scott, well, again, thank you so much for taking the time out, and congratulations on continuing to perform and do this amazing voice. And we can't wait to see you out in Houston.
Well, man, we're looking forward to it. And as my dear friend Casey Kasem, who provided the voice of Shaggy all those years, would say, keep your feet on the ground and keep reaching for the stars.